Hey, it's Christi Friesen, and I'm here with another chat time, and this time we're going to be inspired by fiber to create something else. Exciting, right? Well, fiber is interesting. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. There's knitting, there's sewing, there's stitching, there's weaving, and weaving has inspired the project we're going to do today, but not directly. There's one step removed. Within weaving, where you have maybe cloth or baskets or some other fiber-related woven material, glass artists were inspired by that and created woven glass. Tricky stuff, right? And probably kind of scary if you would try to wear it, but luckily it's decorative. So then I looked at that and said, hey, what if we had a product that we could mimic the look of woven glass? And luckily we do, Thermoclear. So I'm going to show you how to make a little woven faux slumped glass bowl. So it's taking its inspiration from glass and from weaving. So kind of fun, right? Something new and different. Let's give it a shot and see where it goes. Come on. Okay, so I have here just a small piece of thermoplastic, and I'm going to heat it up with a heat gun. You can use an embossing gun or heat gun like this one, and just get it warm enough so that the color will stick to it. I'm going to use mica powders for color. Stainless steel tool, turning it on, getting it warm. I'm working on top of a glazed tile. This is a good thing to work on because it will grab onto this, but not permanently attach. So it's kind of nice to work on. It'll take a few minutes or a few seconds to get the plastic to start to warm up enough to where you can feel that it's like sticking. So see this now? It's not moving around. It's sticking onto the tile. So I'm going to heat it up just a bit. Then I can get my powder. And in this case, I'm going to start with some teal colored mica powder, and this is from my Surface Effects kit, but all mica powder will work awesomely. And I'm just going to spread this all over the surface. While the surface is slightly warm, it should spread really well. Now, obviously what's going to happen when I turn this on is it's going to blow away the excess. That's okay. Then we just want to heat it up nicely so that it all sticks on beautifully. Now you get kind of a brushed on effect. This isn't intended to be an all over dye. This is just intended to be a tinting, but once you do this, it should be very nice and grabbed into the surface and kind of permanently colored, which is effective, huh? All right, let's see what we got. Looks like my surface, it's grabbed on real well. There's a lot of excess there, but that's okay. I'm going to give it just a little bit more, because that excess will just go away when we blow or wipe it. So excellent. Now I'm going to do the same with a couple of other colors. I've got a darker blue, and I'll put some darker blue in there. This is a Pearl X one. I've got a golden color, another one from my Surface Effects, and I have shimmer flakes. Now they don't stick on quite the same, but we're going to put some on anyway. Okay, so now I have a couple of different colored sheets with different shimmers on them. And it's a simple matter now to cut them into strips. I'm not trying to be precise with this. I just want to have some strips to weave with. So you see what I'm doing? Just chopping them up like that. So let's do it. Okay, so I've got all of my little strips all lined up here, and I've got my nice surface to work on. And the first thing I'm going to do is just heat this up a little bit so things will stick onto it a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to start taking my pieces and laying them in sort of a kind of a loose hexagon-y type shape. No real rhyme or reason other than I'm making a sort of circular basket-ish pattern. Okay, so see, that's going to be my base to start with. I'm going to take my tool, try to get it so that I'm holding down most everything so it won't blow away, and let's just heat that. Okay, now remember your tools are warm, so be careful when you pick them up, not to grab them in the hot spots. And then I'll go to another tool of mine. You see how this is starting to like press into each other? That's what we want. We want them to start grabbing. So I'm going to give them another little zap. We'll do a more final melting later. This is just to keep things rolling. So now I'm going to just keep laying over. And as you can tell, I don't have any real firm pattern in mind, other than I'm sort of building out a nest of crisscrosses. If I see too many colors that are, I'm looking for the overall visual pattern. So if I see too many things that are just side by side and I don't want that, I want to mix it up a little bit more, I'll change the angle. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's do the same trick. Lay the tools on there and hold things in place and give it a zap. See how they're starting to like melt down on each other just a little bit? They're not melted to each other yet. They're just kind of starting. Get my tool in there and just give them a little bit of a help. Sometimes they'll stick up and I want them to lay a little bit more flat. Now, the way this particular thermoplastic works is that it is meltable, but they don't readily connect unless it starts getting to this almost liquefied state. And then that's when they start to really fuse together. Otherwise, they're like grabbed, but they could kind of pull apart. All right, so you really kind of want that liquefied state almost if you want them to fuse together nicely. All right, so now I'm just going to reinforce kind of this outside edge. Because we're going to be putting this over a bowl, rounded bowl surface soon, I want the crisscrosses to be fairly thick, so it's a very nice sort of woven kind of feel to it, so it's not too lightweight. It's got to have enough body to hold itself into a bowl form. And I'm going to especially use more of these clear ones on top because they can add reinforcement without adding a lot of visual change. Now I'm just kind of going random. This is not, you know, something real thought through. You can make it a pattern if you prefer. I just wanted to show you a simple way of doing this, then you can get a little bit more fancy with it as you go along. Okay, I'm using mostly all my clear ones now because that's what I feel like. All right. Now, on this one, after I heat it up a bit, I'm going to press it down with another tile just to make it all stay put. So I'm going to put these guys on again. Oops. When it gets too hot, you can see what happens. It kind of grabs and goes away, so be careful about that. Which is kind of fun too, because that means you can manipulate it, but that's not what I wanted at the moment. Just know that that's a thing you can play with. All right, so let's roll these off. And now I'm going to do the tile trick once I warm these up again. I think I'm going to get this tile warm too so that it can be a good warm surface to press these down. Okay, we're gonna let that just sit and cool for a little bit, because while everything is soft and grabby, it's gonna wanna stretch and pull, which is another trick you can do using this material. But for now, I just want it to cool down and get a little bit more flat. Okay, so probably just gonna have to pull that off because it's a grabby thing. And I usually use a blade, just like you would polymer, to kind of get up underneath and release that grip. So just pull that a little bit at a time. Don't worry if these are not fully connected to each other. The next step is going to deal with that. All right, so now you have kind of a slumped glass looking thing, don't we? With a little bit of Dichro around the edges. Now what I thought we would do is I'm going to use a bowl. This is from Fat Daddy-O. They are just the best. They're hemisphere bowls. And we can bend this around to make a nice bowl shape. There's another smaller one if I want to do it a more tightly curved one. I could do it on the inside so that the shine is on the inside, or on the outside here. I guess the shine would be on the inside or on the outside, depending on what you want. I kind of want to see this more rough area as the inside of the bowl and this more shiny side as the outside of my bowl. So I'm going to use this one. And we'll start with making this hot. Grab it with some tweezers so it doesn't go anywhere. It helps when this surface is more hot, because then it will just slump down in a little easier. Okay. Take our bit of plastic and shove that in a bit. It's hot, so be careful. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold this. I think I'm just going to hold the outside edge and just let it slump more naturally. All right, can you see it in there? All right, let's see what happens. So it probably needs a little bit of help. I'm going to take that smaller bowl, just kind of push that down a little bit there. See how that helps push that down? If you don't have a smaller bowl, then you could use any kind of tool with a rounded edge. I've got like a sort of a mandrel thing here. You can push that down. That can just help get that down in where you want it to go. Okay, let's keep heating. Don't hurt yourself. Okay, let me take a little look and see what's going on. A ball-tipped tool is also really good for this. I'm going to grab that. All right, so I've got this giant ball-tip tool, and as that's hot, see how I can kind of push that down in and take care of any pieces that are getting a little crazy. All right, let's keep going. It's pretty much just falling down on its own now to match the curve of the bowl. I think we've just about got it. So I'm just kind of using the heat to make sure everything is slumped together. You really want it to kind of melt together. Now you want to leave that alone. Oops, I see a spot. Hang on. Get in there. Okay. Got it a bit melty. Not what I wanted to do. So what I'll do is, see this little part here that got gooey because I touched it with my tool? I will wait until it cools down and I'll just cut that off. Because those are fun. They're fun to play with, but it's not what I want right now. So I'll wait and I'll chop that off. All right, so now this is nice and boiling hot. We're going to just let this sit and cool by itself, and then we will take it out of there and we will have a nice little faux slumped glass woven bowl. Okay, it's cooled down sufficiently for us to try and take it out of this bowl. Now remember, whenever you're working in something, you've got to work in something that will release afterwards. So you want to use metal, glass, or ceramic, glazed ceramic. Otherwise, that will now become part of your thing. So just know that. So I got a blade in there so I could get a little bit of leverage, and I'm just kind of giving it a bit of a tug. At this stage, everything should be set. You know, it's sort of like it's got a memory of what it wants to be. You're not going to change it at all just by pulling on it. It's got to be cool, though, because if that's still a least bit warm, then there's going to be some trouble. So I've got most of that done. So there's grab. So, you know, just be patient with it. It'll come. Gonna get my fingers in there a little bit more wedging. Can you hear that crackling as it lets go? There we go. Just going slowly and trying to use wedging of my fingers to make it work. Now this is the area where that melted, so I've got a nice little scissors here to cut away the parts that don't look good with the rest of it. The melted, like I mentioned to you, the melted thing can be an interesting by itself, but it just doesn't go with everything else we've got going on. All right, let's take a look. What do you think? We've got dirty fingers. We've got a nice bowl shape. It keeps its shape really well. Sorry, looking for words there. It keeps its shape. It's not going to slump. It's going to stay just like this. Now you can continue to work on it if you wanted to create legs for it to stand up on. There's some things you could do with that, or just like go around and around and around to create like a little lip. But I kind of like the idea that it's just this sort of little bowl as a decorative element, and it's got the dichroic feel to it because of the mica. Pretty sweet, huh? And you can see how this is inspired by woven glass and slumped glass, which was in turn inspired by woven material. So it's our fantastic fiber inspirations that are bringing us to new places with new materials. Pretty sweet, right? So cool, right? I mean, you know, fiber to glass to plastic. It's a good little journey. So I hope that I gave you some ideas and get your head percolating with possibilities. Maybe you'll choose to make it bigger or smaller or different colors, or you'll do some actual weaving instead of a random bird's nest pattern. Who even knows what you'll do? But I hope you're inspired and you have some wonderful creative time in your studio soon. Till next time, see you later.